Okay, so here's a story for you guys. I know we've told you before, we are in a rental house right now. The house that we were in before this, we owned. Any maintenance that needed to be done, we did ourselves. The house before that one, we rented, but honestly, we never had any problems in that house, so we never even really had to call the landlord. Well, in this house, this has happened once before. So when Tyler's parents were here for New Year's, our toilet stopped working. Like, it just wouldn't flush at all. So Tyler's dad, bless his heart, I love him, thank you. This was on the day after New Year's Day. So no plumber wanted to come to our house. He snaked it, and that fixed it. So last night I'm in bed and I just hear I heard water in the kitchen sink, and that happens sometimes because I don't know what's going on with the plumbing in this house, but whatever. So just gurgles in the kitchen sink, and I heard that. And I was like, what is going on? So then I heard the sound of the toilet being plunged. And I'm like, oh, crap. So I lay there and wait for Tyler to come back. And he comes back and he's like, all I did was go pee. I don't know what happened. It won't flush. And I'm like, oh my gosh, not again. So fast forward to this morning. We don't have a working toilet. Tyler's like, I'm going to text the property manager, see what they can do, whatever. Well, one thing about our property manager is that he is not great at his job. I don't know what else he's got going on. That's his business. But he never replies to messages. He doesn't follow through. And it's just a whole thing. Tyler texted him. He did reply because last time we had an issue, I told him, I said, hey, next time when we text you, can you at least reply and tell us you got the message? Otherwise we're sitting here wondering, what the heck is going on? And he was like, oh yeah, I can do that. So he did do that this time. He's like, hey, I'm going to find a plumber. We'll get it taken care of. So then around probably noon today, I texted him because Mason needed a nap and I didn't want to put her down for a nap if she was going to be woken up by a plumber knocking on my door. So I texted him. I was like, hey, any update? He's like, yeah, the guy that is coming, he's at another job right now, and then he's coming probably around 4. I know, Mace girl. And I'm like, okay, cool. So meanwhile, I'm sitting here in the house all day with the baby. I peed in the tub because, and then I just rinsed it. But I couldn't go poop. I really had to go poop. What do you do when you don't have a toilet, but you have a baby and you don't want to go to the gas station to go because first of all, ew. And second of all, I'm not going to take my baby to the gas station and set her car seat on the bathroom floor. So, I waited all day. And at 4:20, there comes a knock on the door. I open the door. The man comes in. He goes in the bathroom. And then he comes back out. And he's like, great, it's fixed. And I was like, what did you do? He's like, well, I replaced the valve on the toilet. Sometimes they just go bad and they need to be replaced. And I was like, okay, if it's fixed, great. So he leaves. And what do? I go to the freaking bathroom. And now I'm filled with regret. Because I went to the bathroom. What I've been holding all day. And it doesn't flush. The toilet didn't flush. So I'm trying to plunge it to like, I don't know what else to do. Well, plunging it isn't doing anything. So I called the property manager and he's like, hey, and I'm like, you need to send your plumber back out here. I was like, Tim, I've been holding my poop all day and I just used the bathroom and now it won't flush. And he's like, what do you mean it won't flush? I'm like, what do you mean? What do I mean? It's not going down. It's not flushing. He's like, well, I'll call them back. So he calls them or whatever. He texts me and he's like, okay, the supervisor's coming out. And I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible. So then I'm sitting here and the supervisor guy comes. Totally looks like a plumber, but we don't judge. And he's got 2 kids with him, like 2 teenage boys. And I'm sitting here already super embarrassed because you know what I just did in that toilet. And it's just sitting there. And in walk 3 men in my house. And I told him, I was like, I'm sorry, like, I waited all day to use the bathroom. I had to go. And he's like, ma'am, that's all right. And I'm like, is it though? Is it really all right? Like, I understand he's a plumber. I get it. But like, when it's your own poop, it's embarrassing, okay? So he's in there for like 20 minutes. He tried to snake it. He tried to plunge it. Like, I don't know what they're doing in there, him and his kids. I don't care. So he didn't fix it. He comes out here and he looks at me and he goes, I'm going to have to call your property manager and tell him that you got a bad toilet. I'm like, what does that even mean? He's like, well, the only thing I can assume is that the jets in your toilet are bad and that's why it won't flush. I can get it to flush twice, but that's it. And then it won't flush again. I'm like, okay, great. And I asked him, I was like, so what's the timeline on this? And he's like, well, I can't fix it until tomorrow if he's going to pay me to replace it. And I like, in my head, I know our landlord. And I'm like, is he going to pay to replace it? Like, am I going to be without a toilet for the next week and a half? Like, what are we doing here? So anyways, we don't have a toilet for the next foreseeable future. So yeah. So we have been going back and forth with the property manager for our house because he's under the impression that our toilet works.
If it worked, we wouldn't be talking to him.
It doesn't work. He's like, well, you can flush it twice every 10 minutes. You can't flush it at all. It doesn't flush.
Well, to be fair, I used it at 1:30 this morning, and then we got up at 6:30 and tried to flush it, and it didn't work. And that, from my math, that's a lot longer than 10 minutes.
And my poop was longer than 10 minutes. It was longer than 10 minutes after the plumber flushed it that I tried to flush it again. It doesn't flush every 10 minutes. It doesn't flush at all. So now we basically got into it with the property manager because he's under the impression that it flushes. I also want to mention here that he told the plumber that we have another toilet in our house. And I looked at the plumber and I kind of looked around our house and I was like, do you see how small this house is? Like, where would we put another toilet? And he's like, yeah, no, I don't think you have another one. And I was like, no, sir, we definitely do not. So this man's not even familiar with our house. And he's also under the assumption that we have a working toilet right now. If we had a working toilet, we would not be blowing up his phone at 7 o'clock on a Friday night.
And to be fair, we also got a hold of him about 12 hours ago to let him know that our toilet was not functioning. And then he got back to me at a little after 9 saying that he was going to get a plumber here, and the plumber didn't show up till after 4.
So let me insert here the rest of our conversation with the property manager, probably minus Tyler's bit. But so he's saying that we might get a new toilet this weekend, but we might not because
they're trying to order one.
They're out of stock, which I understand, like, the whole thing, but like if they're out of stock in the store, how are they going to miraculously have a toilet tomorrow?
Well, and my thing is there's definitely a toilet somewhere in this town that's probably just not the toilet they want to buy because they want to buy the cheapest one.
And I told him, like, not to be rude here, but I have a baby. Like, we're not going to be making trips out to go to the bathroom. And, like, if we owned this house, we would have already taken care of the problem. Like, Tyler probably, honestly, would have already gone out and bought a new toilet and already have had it replaced. So I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know when we're going to get a toilet. It is almost 8 o'clock on Friday night. Also, I want to go ahead and touch on this because I know that in the comments people are going to be like, well, why didn't you just plunge it? Or also, I've had a couple smart ass people tell me in my Snapchat that I should have scooped my poop out of the toilet before the plumber came. And first of all, gross. Second, I tried to flush it, so it wasn't like, it wasn't a whole poop anymore. So no, that was not a thing. And obviously, if this was an issue we could plunge our way out of, we would have already done that.
I was plunging a toilet at 1:30 this morning.
He was. I told you, I heard him plunging that toilet. So we're at Best Buy right now looking at cameras, and I'm like not that person. Tyler's over here like asking the guy for all of his input and like everything, and I'm just like, I just need a camera, I don't know. So I don't know, my birthday's coming up and I'm like really hoping that he loves me enough to buy me one for my birthday. But also, I know they're really expensive, so I guess we'll see. But yeah, we're looking today. Apparently the best one is the Sony. I was looking at the Canons, and the Canon guy came up to me and asked what I was looking for, and I said something for vlogging, and he was like, oh, you're gonna want the Sony ZV-1. Walked me away from the Canons, and I was like, okay. So apparently this is the one to go for. So we'll see. It's kind of expensive, really expensive actually. So yeah, I guess we'll see. Meanwhile, Tyler's over here looking at memory cards and all kinds of other crap. Cause you know, you get a camera, you need a memory card.
Perfect. I have a question.
Cool. Thanks, sir.
Are you shopping?
Like PC power supplies? Yeah. Yeah.
What you got?
Anything else?
I'm good, thank you.
Have a good
Thank
one.
you.
Are you recording?
Yeah.
So I have a surprise for you.
Are you on me?
Yeah.
What?
So the reason why I was asking him about the ZV-1 is because I purchased one earlier.
Serious?
And I wanted to make sure that I made a good purchase.
I'm literally recording me like, I really want one for my birthday, blah, blah, blah.
Well, I was going to come up here and pick it up and not let you know, but you decided to come in here and look at cameras and kind of messed up my plan.
I was wondering what kind of secrets you were just telling that guy over there.
I was like, hey, I just bought one of these this morning and I wanted to make sure that I made a good purchase. And he's like, you be good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so apparently we already got the camera.
Here.
So what's our toilet update?
It appears to be working.
It miraculously fixed itself.
Yeah, I wish I had some other stuff that fixed itself, but as far as I know, it's only our pooper.
So we got home last night from dinner and Tyler was like, I'm gonna go flush it. And we're both sitting there and we looked at each other and we were like, I hope it doesn't flush because we're gonna look like assholes if it does. And he flushed it and it flushed.
And I flushed it 4 more times and it flushed. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me.
So we don't know what was wrong with the toilet. We don't know what fixed it. Like,
But around 10, the guy that owns the house. So the house is run through a property management company. So the guy that owns the house stopped by, and he was looking at it. He's like, it's a brand new toilet, so I don't think there's anything wrong with the toilet. And I said, well, it did rain a lot, so I'm thinking maybe the septic tank got full of rainwater. So he's going to have someone come out and pump the septic tank and then install a clean out. So if it gets clogged up again, we can just do it from the yard instead of having to go through the house. So we'll see how that goes. And so he was more helping in 2 hours than our property manager was in 2 days. So that's pretty
It
cool.
was also really nice to be able to actually talk to like the actual landlord, because we were able to address the issues that we have with the property manager. And it sounds like we're not the only ones with issues with him. And after his contract is up, he's probably not going to renew that.
No, he didn't say probably. He said definitely. So.
Oh, definitely. He's definitely not going to use him again. Can you stop at Starbucks? So, yeah. Basically, our toilet is miraculously fixed. We don't know what happened. So enjoy my poop story for nothing. You're welcome. Yeah. I don't... Anything else?
I think so.
Well, that's it for today's video then, guys. Thanks for watching. If you got grossed out, sorry, but at least I didn't show you anything, so...
The plumber saw enough for everyone.
They just saw your burp.
Better off than that.
We will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.